Welcome, everybody. My name is Tyler Watson, and welcome to how I made $225,000 in a weekend with less than 30 people in the room. And the point of me sharing this, yes, is to teach you how to make money as a speaker, how to, actually put on an event and do it well. That it's not just transactional, but it's transformational. But more than that, I know the title is kind of ridiculous. It's like, wow, how did you do that, right? And it's completely true. I'm going to share with you my story, but it's one of those stories that it was like, it wasn't always that successful, right? We all have our beginnings. And so I'm really excited to have you guys all here. This is going to be very fast-paced. So normally I do a lot of interaction. This is actually going to be no interaction. I am going to just deliver a lot of content, because to actually put on a successful event where you can do six figures or multiple six figures, it requires quite a few steps, and not just the logical side of it, but actually getting in a space of where you're emotionally capable of putting on something like this. And you don't have to be first off, here's the thoughts that pop into people's heads when they think about putting on events. And at least this was mine. Number one, you see these, people are doing six-figure events, and you think, wow, they must have some really good connections. That's a huge thing that a lie that I believed my whole life as I've been doing events. The second belief that I've had is, man, you have to have a lot of money to run a successful event. And that was my second limiting belief. That is not true. The third limiting belief that I had around putting on events was that if you make a lot of money, you have to spend a lot of money to facilitate it, to put on, and to deliver. And that is also false. So I'm going to break through some of these barriers. The other one is that you have to be very experienced. You have to be well known. People have to, you have to be super famous. All these weird beliefs that we get that are not true. The true parts to this is number one, you have to align your life, who you are, who you become, with your goals and desires. If you want to create a successful six-figure event, it is doable, and anyone on this planet can do it. But you have to align yourself and become that person capable of facilitating such a transformational event. Number two, you have to know how to fill the room. You have to know how to find the right people to get in the room. It's not just about filling the room, it's about getting the right people to the room. And the third part of that too is also, once they're in the room, how to convert and do an offer that is transformational and not pushy, not salesy, not transactional. Okay, so we're going to cover that today as well. And then the third thing that I'm going to cover today is the outline of a successful six-figure event. So that's what you're going to get today. At the end of this presentation, I am going to offer to do an assessment. And this is a business relationship assessment. So it covers the category of yourself, of who you are, your frequencies that you're putting out, the limiting beliefs that we hold on to, as well as the logistical side of how I'm communicating my message. Is it aligned with my story? Is it integrity with who I am and my mission? Because all those pieces play into whether or not your event's going to be successful. Okay, so if you'd like, you can stick around for that, because I'm going to be sharing with you that as well. Okay, so we're going to dive in. I'm going to share a little bit about myself. For those of you who don't know me, I do look pretty young. For most people think I'm 23, 21, some people 16. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm 29, and I have two beautiful girls. One's a 3-year-old, one's a 9-month-old, and my wonderful, beautiful wife, who actually helped facilitate and put on this event. So she unfortunately could not be here because our babysitter fell through. So she's watching the kiddos right now. And so if you do hear some wailing and screaming, it's probably because it's about bedtime. And that might happen. So that's part of life, right? So let me tell you a little bit about my journey. I started off as a coach. I started off actually as a massage therapist. And I had a feeling inside, just a knowing that I was here to help people. I had a problem though, which was that I would give and give and give and give, and I would not receive very well. So I would undercharge for what I did, and I would overwork. And to give you an idea, I would literally charge $15 to $35 for sessions in college when I was a massage therapist. And I was pretty good. I grew up with that background, but I didn't value myself. Looking back now, I realized that because of my parents going through divorce and my interpretation of that, I had a lot of anger inside, a lot of feeling of blame and guilt, and I didn't tell anyone. So I turned to pornography, I turned to video game addiction, suicidal thoughts, and a lot of negative thinking around creating anything productive. And it was very difficult for me to get any results. I remember my first time that as an entrepreneur, it was just so difficult for me to ask for people to pay me money. And I was very service oriented. But I knew inside that something had to change, that I could be different, that other people were successful. So why can't I? It's got to be something I'm doing, or somehow that I'm speaking or communicating or showing up. And so throughout that process, I met my wife, who had been doing events with youth for over 9 years. And as I met her, I realized that my life experiences were actually gifts that I could teach to others on communication, on addictions, on helping people understand really who they are. And as I started to value myself more and understand the principles that I'm going to teach you, we went from a place of the first year trying to do events and coaching and everything. I created $12,500 that whole year. That's as a therapist, as a speaker, as a coach, all together. And that was very difficult. We made it, but it wasn't ideal. And so fast forward the next year, learning some of these principles that I will teach you, the 3 different phases of filling an event, facilitating the event, and enrolling clients. Our first event had 8 people. And at that event, it was literally 2 weeks after our first child was born. I hope to not do that again, to put on an event after a birth of a baby. We had just moved 2 months before, and it was chaos. But we held an event. It was a new place, new clients, new people. 8 people showed up, and I made $12,000 something at that event. And for me, that was huge. I remember I had less than $600 on my account, and like bills were coming paid to due, and I was freaking out, but I knew based on these principles that it would work. Fast forward the next year, then we put on another event, and we had 30 people in the room. And with those 30 people doing an offer where we had a low tier, a middle tier, and a high tier, we were able to bring in $225,000 paid in full. That was paid in full, so not over like a long time, and to the event cost to put on less than $1,300. Less than $1,300 to put on the event. So from that experience, I realized, number one, that you don't have to have a ton of money to put on a successful transformational event. Number two, you don't have to know a ton of people. And number 3, it really comes down to you, your message, your passion, and how much you can deliver for the people you're serving. Okay, so through that experience, we've gone up and down. We've had some good times, we've had some tough times, we've had all sorts of fun things, and teaching and empowering people just like you how to run successful events, how to create $20,000 in a month, how to do it. I've had people go from literally making nothing to being able to get $18,000 as a coach, doing events, selling their products and services. And the key to this, though, is not just about making money, okay? It's about making money for the right reasons. Why are you making money? What's your goal behind this? And that's what we're going to talk about first. Because if you're just in it to make money, to whatever selfish reasons, you might be able to do it once, you might be able to do it twice, but to sustain a successful business, you have to be in integrity with yourself and the people you work with, okay? And you'll never please everybody. I literally had a LinkedIn message 2 days ago that was just tearing me down for my book because I claimed it was like a bestseller, which it is Amazon bestseller. And I was like, what? I'm just doing my thing. I'm just here to serve people. And you can't please everybody. There will be people who will be against you, and your job is to stand and deliver no matter what. Okay, so let's dive in. All right, number one, the first thing, and I'm going to do this on board. Sometimes we do PowerPoint. This, I'm just going to use the board. So if you're live here and you can't see the marker, just type in the chat box because I'm going to go fast, okay? This is going to be something that we're going to hopefully be able to get out to a lot more people because I believe more people need to succeed at this. So can you see this? Pretty good. How I made $225,000 in a weekend with less than 30 people in the room. Is that a good color? Can you see that all right? Just throw in the comments if you can because I'll be using it here in a second. Okay. The first step to this is a more of a mental and emotional aspect, which is key. So if this turns you off, then you're probably not in it for the right reason because you have to have the emotional and mental background. It's about transformation. If you are not transforming, you're not going to fill a room, you're not going to enroll, and you're not going to actually do a powerful job. That's why the first step is always, always, always working on yourself, getting yourself aligned with the outcome. So get yourself aligned. I think that's how you spell aligned. I did pass grammar once, twice. So I think it's creative. So if I misspell something, that's why. So here's the steps that we're going to go through on getting yourself aligned. Number one, you have to visualize what it is that is the outcome of what you're desiring. So for example, when I wanted to create the $225,000, I actually had a goal that I looked at, that I focused on, and I wanted it to feel so real that by the time that it happened, I would experience just as much joy, just as much excitement as if it had already happened when I visualized it. And that's the key. Getting yourself so excited about something where it's like, wow, I just did an amazing job. I just created $225,000 at an event, to where it's so real that you don't even have to do it anymore. It's already happened. Some people have taught about the power of manifestation, and if you've tried it and failed, and you've put in your mind like that just doesn't work for me, it's because you're missing out because you have negative opposition that is telling you something contrary. And you have to get rid of that. Everything on this earth has a frequency. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, how you treat people has a frequency. Everything has an energy and a frequency. So $225,000, $100,000, $50,000, they all have specific frequencies. Behind money is people. Behind money is the frequency of certain people. So when you're aligning yourself, and I'll teach you how to do that, with those frequencies that you desire, you will then manifest your goals and what you focused on. So the first thing to get yourself aligned is to see it, and see it often. That it must seem so real that you facilitate that event. You see yourself getting that money. You see yourself using that money. You see yourself impacting more people. You see the outcome of the people that you're helping. You see it all. If you can't see it, it's not true. If you can't see it, it's not true. It's not going to happen. What is true is what you can see. And most people see fear. Most people see doubt. Most people see blame. Most people see shame. And they don't actually see what they want. So what do they get? They get what they see, not necessarily what they desire. Okay, so visualize. Number 2, you must be able to speak it, to declare it, because you can see it all you want. You can see it and sense it and feel it and experience it. But if you can't say it and it feels real to your whole being, you still are not fully on that frequency. If you speak it and it feels like a lie, then some part of you is lying against that idea. So if I have a desire to create $100,000 at an event, and I say, I create $100,000 at an event, and part of me has this feeling of, no, you little liar, you've never even seen that much, which that's what I had, right? You don't even know how to do that. You're incapable. You're too young. You have a gap in your teeth. Nobody will trust you. Nobody will believe you. You have to have a successful business for over 10 years. You have to know everybody on the planet. You have all these limitations. The key is to speak through that in such a sure way that no matter what happens, it feels real to you. You are the creator of everything that you have on this planet right now. Whether you accept that or not, it doesn't matter, because the truth of the matter is we all have created everything that we have. Our relationships, our money, our happiness, all of it. So if you're unhappy with it, we have to stop creating that stuff, right? And create what you want. So you must be able to speak it, and speak it fluidly, speak it with power and passion. Now, the third piece is similar but different, which is to expect. You must expect success and not be tied to the outcome. Expect success without being tied to the outcome. So you have this event that you want to do, and you visualized, you've declared, you've put it into you, you've gotten yourself on the frequency of it, and you know, it's like in your knowing, you're like, this is going to be the best event of my life. This is going to transform people's lives. It's going to be incredible. And you just have that knowing inside. And then you go in and you have this expectation, though, of, okay, I expect that this is going to happen. And even if it doesn't matter to me, because I expect it so much that if it doesn't happen at this event, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. And you're not tied to a time frame. So you can't be tied to the time frame. This is part of the law of gestation, that it's going to happen. It's like if you're expecting a baby and you truly created your baby and you expect the baby, right? You know it's coming. It's like a baby's in your belly and you know it's coming. If it doesn't come out on the due date, the time that you set, this is what people do with their goals. Oh man, maybe it's not, maybe God didn't want it to be this way, or well, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I just didn't have the right people, maybe I just didn't do my exercises enough. And they stop expecting. They start to doubt. So that would be like somebody expecting a baby and it passes the due date and they're like, oh man, well, I guess the baby's not coming. I guess maybe it wasn't God's will. Guess it wasn't my will. I guess it might not even happen. No, you get more excited. You're like, wow, this baby's coming soon. You get extra excited because you're like, if it didn't happen that day, it's going to happen soon. And that's the level of expecting that you must have. Okay? So visualize, declare, and expect. This is how you get yourself aligned with the vision that you want. You must see it, you must say it, and you must expect it. Now, there are ways to shortcut this. I don't have time to go over them, but actually I've just discovered and created a hybrid of about 4 different techniques to help get ourselves aligned on every single fiber of who we are, from organs to chakras to your glands to 50 different statements that are in opposition to things. And it's super cool. If you're interested, stick around to the end and I'll show you how, if you want to learn more, I can teach it to you and get that to you. It does take a little time to teach, but it's saved me a lot of months, because this, honestly, it took me about, once I set that goal, it took me about 6 months of focusing on a 6-figure event. to actually get it. We had ran 2 before that, and we gotten, you know, several 5 figures, but I didn't hit the 6 figures, and I really wanted it, and I expected it, and it wasn't until I got it fully aligned that then the next one, it just, boom, it worked, okay? So let's see here. We've got, so hopefully you can see, okay, great. Sounds, can you hear me okay if I pull it maybe a little bit more this way? So are people, okay, hopefully that you should be able to hear me okay. My volume looks good on my end, and so we'll see. All right, hopefully it works. We're gonna just go through this, and if you can't hear it, hopefully the recording will be better, okay? All right, so second piece. So now that you're aligned, how do you actually fill your event? How do you fill the event, and then how do you do your offer? So we're gonna talk about that right now. Now, there are a lot of ways to fill an event, and these are some of the strategies that I've taught people over the years that work really well. So number one, if you're a coach or a mentor, then this is a very easy way to fill an event. And you want to do this about 3 months in advance. It's not needed, but I mean, I filled an event 1 month in advance when I first moved up here and didn't have anybody I knew. So it can happen a lot faster, but here's the simple ways. Okay, so here we go. So how to fill events, okay? Number one, you can do one-on-one coaching or mentoring and gift them 2 tickets to an upcoming future event that you've never ran before. So when I first started, I enrolled 10 people into my one-on-ones and gifted them 2 tickets to my event that I'd never ran before. And what that did is it allowed them to, it gave extra value in your one-on-ones. It's like an extra bonus. And it spread the message because you give them a guest ticket. So they help you fill your event while you help them with their one-on-one coaching. The second way is to do online courses. So after I did this, I also started to do some online courses where I would do 3-week courses, 4-week courses, 6-week courses, and then I'd gift them 2 tickets, again, as a bonus, 2 tickets for being a part of the community so that they could come and bring a guest. And some people make it on the date, some people make it on the next, some people can't make it at all. So giving them a guest ticket allows them to bring people in as well. So one-on-ones, online courses, and the third one is actually the easiest. So it's just pure straight up networking. I teach a process called power networking, which is 5 steps to go into any networking event that's around your niche and come out with potential clients who will convert. And so going in and networking and talking to people about your event and leading them to what's called a strategy session so that they can say, yeah, I want to do that. You can either enroll them into one of these or straight into the event, yeah? And the fourth one, referrals work really good. So if you're gonna, and I'll also tell you a method of calling someone, a cold call, right? You can cold call, you can ask for referrals. Now, if you're cold calling someone for your events, there's 2 ways to do an enrollment with a cold call. The first one is to go at it from a problem solving. So it's like, hey, Joe, I put together this event. It's on, for example, we're doing an event pretty soon here on suicide prevention, addiction, overcoming addictions, and getting out of depression. So let's say I know someone who's been through one of those things. So I'm going to call them up and I'm going to say, hey, Joe, I'm putting together this event that's on these subjects. I know you've struggled with it or you have a family member that struggled with it, and I'd really love for you to be there. I think it's going to be a lot of value, and I wanted to talk details, and if you're interested, we'll get you signed up. And so you talk details, get them signed up. Now, that's solving the problem method. There's also another method, which I like a lot, which is called the belonging method or the add value method, which is saying, hey, Joe, I'm putting together this event. You have a lot of knowledge on these subjects that I'm teaching. Or you could say, you know, I'm putting together this event with some amazing, putting together a community of amazing like-minded people, and you came to my mind as I'm putting on this event. And I wanted you to be there because you always add so much value to the room, and how you speak, the questions you ask, I would love for you to be there. You're gonna make a difference in the room. You're gonna help just boost the energy of the room, and it would be an honor for me to have you in the room. So that one's more of a respect, honor-based side, and then the other one's more of a problem, they need the solution side. So those are two ways to ask for referrals and get people to the room. Make sense so far? Following along? Is this connecting? Okay. So these are just some of the basic ways to fill your event. Now, how do you fill it with the right people? Goes back to getting yourself aligned with the outcome. You first have to know exactly what type of people you want in your room before doing any marketing. You have to be very clear, visualize, to declare, and to expect those type of people to be in the room. Now, if you just think you want to fill the room, then you'll just fill the room. But if you're saying, no, I want the room filled with these types of people, this quality, this type of experience is what we want to have, then when you go to share your message, it's so crystal clear that anybody who's not part of what you've created just goes away. And everybody who is exactly what you want resonates, and they're excited, and they do it. So you have to be clear on who you want. Okay? Good stuff so far? Is this making sense? Just put in the chat box or the comments if this is making sense, if it's connecting. And we're going to go to the next portion, which is once they're in the room, what to do then. It's always good to do things as bonuses. I love gifting bonuses. Okay? It's always very useful to just give more value and to fill the event. Okay, so this next piece is my fun part that I love to teach. How do you do an offer, right? And then I'm actually going to go into the structure of the event. We have an event outline that we're going to teach you, the basic outline. And then at the end, if you want to get the full outline of how we actually run our events, we have a way that you can get access to our whole event outline and see an event that we've ran, the six-figure event, and how we facilitate it, where all of them, all the timestamps are and everything, because it's pretty in-depth. That would take a whole 2 hours just to go over it in and of itself. Okay, so the offer. Now, the offer, let's say that $225,000 one was a 3-day event. So there's 4-day events. Normally, there's more, there's 5, 6 days, but usually 4, 3, 2, 1, and then partial day, right? Which is like 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to cover kind of how to do it in more of a 3 or 4-day event. So a bigger commitment of time, but this is how you create a 6-figure event. It works really well with the 3 to 4 days. I've done it in 2.5, but this is really my sweet spot, 3 and 4. I love 4 days. 3 days work as well. So let's just start with a 3-day event, and imagine we're doing a 3-day event. Day 2 is when I'm going to do the offer. Same on a 4-day event, day 2, right after lunch, about 3 o'clock. So let's say the event goes to 6 o'clock. I'm going to do the offer day 2 about 4 o'clock. Okay, that gives time for people to digest, and right before you're going to do a transformational breakthrough. That way they're in the mood of shifting, and they're open for receiving. Okay, so we teach transformational ways of facilitating an event, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about that here in a moment. So offer. Okay, when you're doing an offer, first off, I'm just going to run down the outline of this. So number 1, when you're doing an offer, you need to hit the problems. So let's say you're doing, this is the upsell at the event. So you need to state the problems that they're facing, even with all the things that you're already doing, even with the event, the problems that they're not having solved. Okay, once you hit the problems, then you're going to talk about solutions. This is not to be confused with the tools or processes. This is the actual solution. So let's say the problem is, hey, as a event coordinator or as a speaker, you're not filling the room with enough people. So the solution is to be able to communicate your message effectively so that it resonates with your clients and they actually come to your event, right? That would be the solution. So then the third thing would be the benefits or the results. So if you could fill a room every time with the people that you wanted, you would be able to, number one, have way more confidence when putting on an event. Number two, be able to feel empowered. And number three, actually feel like you're making a difference in a lot more people's lives because you set a goal, you fulfill the goal. You have as many people as you want and you deliver. So you go over the benefits. Then the fourth thing is you're going to cover the tools. These are the methods of delivery. So you might say, okay, well, how am I actually going to teach you to overcome that problem, to get into that solution, to have that benefit? Well, it's I could call it the six-figure speaker blueprint, which teaches exactly what I was just talking about, how to fill the room with your ideal clients. Or you could call it like the filling the room process, right? So whatever your expertise is, give it a name, an entity. That way, when you're going through this, it's a system for people. This is critical because if you don't have this and you just talk about problems and solutions, people are in limbo and they ask themselves, okay, is this really pertinent to me? Is it not? And then they're on the wall, on the fence, and then they don't actually commit. So fourth is to go over the tools, okay? Then once you cover all this, you're going to then, step 5, is talk about value. So the value on going through this program to get these results, to overcome these problems, is X amount. And you actually show the value with an actual price, right? So it's a comparative value, what you value it as. Now, value is value is value. Like for someone who doesn't use something, it's not valuable. But for someone who's running an event, this could be, like if I was teaching this for event people, then giving them this might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. If they didn't, it'd be worth nothing. So value is relative, and people get caught up in value. It's like a pride thing. But just share with people in a real way the value that you have on it. Now, the fifth, so I'm going to erase this and go to the sixth one, okay? Because we've got several steps here. Step 6, this is where you actually get into some of your story. And you share your story about why this has made such a difference in your life, or a client story. Okay, and this is where you're going to drop into a story that makes a difference. It shows someone who's gotten results. It teaches them in a way that says, oh, Joe, so I'd be like, hey, so after I taught this blueprint to Alex, and he went out and put in his first event, and he made, $18,000. It was a huge breakthrough for him. He had all these results, and da-da-da-da, right? So, excuse me, didn't bring any water today. So that shows, number one, credibility for that person. Number two, that person can do it, that there's hope. And so you always want to share a story because that's how you're going to relate to that person. Now, you share your story. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Story. Once you share your story, after going over the problem, the solution, the benefits, the tools, then you get into the value, then the story. Then the 7th step is going to be method of delivery. This teaches them how they're going to get everything. So it's like, hey, it's a program. It's all the details of the program. Then, after you teach that piece, you're going to do a, oh, so you're actually going to do the price on it. And I like to start in a 3-day event with a middle tier program, okay? So let's say at our 3-day event, I started, and the first thing I shared was about a 15, or the first one I did was a $35,000 program. So you're not actually, this isn't a stand up and run to the room and get sold, right? The offer is going to lead to a conversation. The offer is going to lead to a conversation. This provides people with, number one, some time to think about things. And number two, that you work with really amazing people, because it's not about like you get the deal and you got to run to the back of the room and get sold and then regret it 3 days later. This is about true transformation. So you're going to give people a conversation. And that's all you're offering, is to a conversation about what you just told them. Okay, this is critical. Now, here's how you actually do it. So after you share the price, so it's like $35,000, then I just ask for anyone interested. And I say, how many of you are interested in learning more about this or having a conversation with it? Raise your hand. Then you pass out folders with descriptions of what it is that they are getting. That way there's something tangible. Okay, so after you share the price, you just ask by raise of hand, how many people are interested in having a conversation? As simple as that. Then the next piece, after you share the price, you're going to do the next tier up. So this is where you get to your higher end program. So for us, it's like $65,000 is our higher tier program. And so after you share your middle tier, excuse me, you're going to then talk about the bigger program. And this is how you basically do it. You say, hey, so I shared with you this program. How many of you would like to learn about this next upper tier program? It's kind of like a do it for you, do it with you program that will take you from X result to X result. Anyone interested in learning? If no one is, then don't do it. But if someone's interested, then you say, great, let's dive in and share with it. You go back through, you share some more of the problems, the solutions, the tools, the benefits. You share why this is so incredible. You share the value. And on this one, you're going to share another story. But right after the story, you say this. If you're interested in a conversation, stand up. And what this does, I love having people stand up because two things. Number one, this is not to actually get enrolled. It's just to stand up if you're interested in moving forward with this program, if you want a conversation with it. Now, there's things that happen when you invite people to stand. This is the transformation that happens. Number one, it's awkward for people to stand up. Like if everyone's sitting down listening, it takes courage, it takes extra effort, and it's a higher level commitment to stand. And it does something physiologically to the person to say, I'm committed to do what it takes to change my life, which is why I love having people stand for the bigger packages. Even if it's not a fit for them, we'll learn that in the conversation. But when they stand, they say, I'm committed to talk and confront and to become this person capable of receiving this type of transformation. I remember when I first stood, it was a $100,000 program. And I was in this room and there was a coach who was offering his program. It was $100,000. I had $12,000 saved up. It was 2 months into my successful career. The previous year, 2 months before, I only had like $400 in my bank account. And I'm in this room and he invites people to stand. And I get this sense of, I'm going to do what it takes to live my mission no matter what. And I just stand up. And my wife's with me and she's like, what the, like $100,000? But I knew, I was like, I am here and I am here to transform and I'm going to do what it takes. And from that moment, that decision I made from standing, it wasn't necessarily even the programs that I went through, but making a decision and a commitment to myself. I was able to create my first 6 figures that year get my wife her grand piano, and see some beautiful transformations because I stood for my desires, my goals, and my transformation. And I ended up enrolling in a program that was significantly higher than I'd ever invested, which was like $35,000, and created some massive amount of change. So have them stand. Now, once they stand, you have to do multiple calls to action. So after you have them stand, you give them applause, you thank them. After that, you're going to share the next part, which is a regret story. And you want to share a regret story that's real to you. So sometimes I'll share mine about my grandma. Sometimes I'll do the 3 feet from gold. Sometimes I'll do one about me not making a decision after I had an impression and I didn't act on it, and then things turned really sour. So you share a regret story. And after the regret story, then you do another call to action. And the call to action is a conversation with you. You can hand them an envelope, and the envelope is basically an invitation to explore the high tier program with you. And so the next call to action, though, is after the regret story. Why do you do this? Because the thinkers in the room are thinking and the feelers are feeling. And you want to tie both together because they're thinking and feeling about, is this right for me? Am I really meant to do this? And they're in their heads and in their hearts. When you share a story, it takes the logic and emotion and combines it and makes it a powerful experience where by the time you're done, it takes their doubts, diffuses it, and helps them actually make a choice. Then right after you do a call to action, and you'll have another 2, 3, 4% actually want to move forward again after you do that process. If you don't do this, you'll miss out on about 3 or 4% of the people that actually would have moved forward. So you have to do that because there's people who are waiting, they're sensing, and you share the story and then another call to action. So if this resonates with you, if you'd like a conversation, stand up. Pause, wait, stand in the awkwardness, stand in the silence, because that's what's going on in their minds is, am I ready to change? Am I ready to commit? And then they stand up. And you go over to them, give it to them, give them a hand, and it's amazing. So, so cool. Okay, so after all this, then you lead them to the conversation, right? You talk to them, and then you talk finances, and you go through the strategy session, and you get them enrolled. And that's as easy as it is. Oh, the last piece, though, is this. You must honor those who it's not a fit for. Because this isn't a manipulative thing, and you don't want to include, it's not for everyone. So then you say, I want to honor those who have just sat through this process, and if you didn't feel that this was for you, honor yourself. Honor yourself because this is for those who it resonates with. And I appreciate everyone who stood up. If you feel like you still want a conversation, act on it now, right? And don't regret. Don't leave regretting that you wish you would have had a conversation. It's a conversation, right? So you're leading them to a conversation. Good? Awesome. If you have any questions about the offer, put it in the chat box here and I will answer those. This is the most powerful process, and through that, I was able to generate $225,000 in 1 weekend doing this very process. So, so cool. Is this connecting? Is this making sense, the process of the offer? And very nice, very simple, very honor-based, very, very just, I love this process. So, okay, now, last thing to cover, and then I'm going to talk about an opportunity for you guys to help you with your mission here. Okay, here's the outline of the event. So let's say you're doing a 3-day or 4-day event, or a 1-day or a 2-day, doesn't matter. Here's the overall outline of how to create a transformational event, okay? These are the processes. So number 1, you must set your goal. Like, what is it that I want to get out of this event? So the goal might be, I want to create $225,000. I want to give people this type of experience. I want to help people transform their fears or better their relationships, and get specific with the goal of the event. What's the purpose behind it? And what's the outcome? So purpose and outcome on the goal. Number 2. What are the emotions you want to evoke? What are the emotions you want to evoke in the people that you're helping at the event? So for example, this next event that we're going to do on suicide prevention and overcoming addictions, emotions I want to evoke are, number 1, safety. I want to evoke the feeling of realness. I want to evoke the emotion of power, of change, of and on and on and on, of all the emotions that you want to evoke in the event. Then you're going to do this piece. What are the experiences that I need to facilitate? So these are experiential processes. These are tools. These are techniques. What are you actually going to teach to take them through experiences to evoke every single one of the emotions that you wrote down? If you don't have an experience tied to the emotion that you wanted to evoke, you're not going to actually have a successful event. Makes sense, right? If you set this intention, I want to help people really break through their limitations, and I want to help people feel included. And then you go through and you write out your whole event, you do your outline, which most people just start with the outline of the event. They do it backwards, and then it's not a very cool event. It's like, oh, it was all right, but it wasn't life-changing. If you want to make it life-changing, you write down experiences and link them to each emotion. So for example, one of ours we do is called the eye-to-eye experience. Some of you have been to our events and know this. So it's the eye-to-eye experience. And what happens is these emotions, then all the emotions we would evoke. So one is vulnerability. One is love, understanding, money paradigm shifting. So eye to eye evokes all of these emotions. So I would link all the things to this process to say, okay, this is going to deliver this, which is going to help deliver the goal or the outcome. The final piece is after you have the whole thing created emotionally, spiritually, so to say, then the last piece is to put it into an outline. Put it into an outline. Day 1, starting at 9 o'clock, here's what we do, intro, and go through every time, all the times, so that the experiences, the emotions, and the goals all meet up to where if you say, if I did all this, this goal would happen. And that way you know that everything's in alignment. And now you've created a 6-figure event or a transformational event or whatever event that you want to create, right? This is the main part. Now, if you'd like to get access to actually one of our whole templates for a 4-day event, then I'll share with you how to do that here in a minute, because it helps to have something to look at and to just plug and fill, right? I don't know if that would be valuable to me. I wish I would have had that. That would have saved me a lot of time. So I'm going to share that as a bonus today, that if whoever signs up for my assessment today, that I will gift you our whole outline of our previous event that we did that was a 6-figure event, okay? So, cool. Questions on this? If you have questions, put it in the chat box. Otherwise, just say in there that this is making sense. Hopefully you'll apply some of this. I hope you're seeing like I hope you can see that you can do this. Like putting on an event also, when you film the event, you don't need all the bells and whistles. You don't need to have $30,000 invested to give this amazing experience. We spent $1,500 to get a hotel. We had a couple banners and we had a booth, the whole setup, and that was it. And me and my wife facilitated it. We offer to conversations, and then we enroll them into $15,000, $35,000, and $65,000 packages. And if anybody can't fit those, then we do $2,000 packages. It's all based off their needs, right? So these are the powers. This is the power behind it. All right? Good? Okay. If you've gotten value out of it so far, put something in the chat box. Let me know you're still alive, because we're wrapping up. If you have any questions so far about those three pieces, so far we've talked about three things. Number one, getting yourself aligned with the outcome, which is critical. You have to, first, what is it? Declare. Second, or first visualize. Second is to declare. And third is to expect. Expect the results and feel it, sense it, that it has already happened. Second piece was how to fill your events. You can do one-on-ones, online courses, calls, referrals, networking, and then you can either do it solving a problem or inviting them to be part of the transformation. Two ways of doing an enrollment for an event. And the third piece, and then the offer, right? You start with the problems, the solutions, the benefits, the tools. Then you go into the value. Then you go into a story of yourself or the client. Then you do a call to action, right? You share the actual price. Then you do a call to action for just to experience a conversation. You give them out a folder. And then next piece, you share about and ask them if they want to learn more about the higher tier program to get faster results. If they say yeah, then you move on to the next piece, which is to dive in and you talk more about the problems and solutions, why this is so cool, why it is different. And then you go into the value, then you go into the price, and then you go in, or you don't actually, on that one you can leave out the price. You just share the value and you go through and you can say, okay, awesome. Then you share a story, a regret story, or call to action, have them stand. After they stand, honor them, give them an applause, give them a little little piece of paper, right, that says to meet with you for a conversation. Then after that, you share a regret story, and then you do another call to action, and then another another 1 to 3% will move forward again. Cool? Okay. All that. Third piece that we talked about was the outline of the course, which is or outline of the event, which we just did, which is setting the goal, setting the intention, what it is, the outcome, and then the emotions that you want to evoke, the experiences that you want them to go through to get the emotions, and then the outline for the whole piece. Okay, so we got let's see. Yeah, thanks for the insight, Cassie. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Okay. All right. Now, last piece to all of this, and we'll wrap up. All right. For you as a speaker, if you would like some extra help, just put in the chat box right now, because I've got an opportunity I'd like to share with you. It's called a business relationship assessment. Now, what this assessment does, it covers about 5 different problems. Number one, on that getting yourself aligned, if you don't know what you don't know, it's very difficult to figure out what's stopping you. What is actually off when you're setting up your event? Is it a belief system? Is it emotion? Is it a generational thing? Is it some sort of cellular thing? Is it, there's so many pieces that affect us as human beings. And so to figure that out is key. It's so huge to be able to get yourself aligned with your goal. So in this assessment, that's one thing that we can do, is align yourself with your goal. The second problem that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs is that their relationships with their spouse or their kids is off, and they use it to say, oh, I can't run an event because blah, blah, blah. I don't have support, or so-and-so, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? There's an excuse that they use. And how do you eliminate an excuse is to empower yourself and understand what it is that you've went through and how to actually shift that. It might be a communication tool, and it might be a technique of releasing. So whichever it is, it depends on your need. But the relationship with your spouse and others can be an obstacle in why people don't run powerful events. The third piece is kind of some of the things that we talked about today. It's a little bit of the structure. Like, how do I outline all of it in detail? How do I get the room? And what do I need to have in the room? Is there anything emotionally or even spiritually that I need to do to clear the room? And lots of little pieces that we do to make the event as powerful as possible. So that's more on the structure side. And you don't know what you don't know, right? And so if you're not getting a good result on getting your events launched, then this assessment will help you see all the pieces that are involved. And it could be connection with your higher power. Are you actually doing an event that is aligned with your message, with your mission? Because if you're just doing it for the sake of creating money, then it might not be getting the results that you need. Is it aligned with your story, with your passion, with your heart? And if not, let's align it. And then the last piece is your relationship with money. If you have a threshold, and I've worked with so many entrepreneurs that if you're not making a certain amount of money, it's because there's a money threshold. Energetically, this is so true. I've seen this over and over and over. Someone will be making 6 figures, and it's $100,000 or something. They're capped at like 100,000. They might go to 110, and then they'll go to 90, and then like 120, and then like 80. And it's like average is like 100K. And they're like, man, I just can't break through this, or man, I can't break through $5,000, or whatever it might be. That threshold, the only reason it's there is because of an accumulation of emotions and thoughts that are holding it down. When you can eliminate that, you raise the threshold. So how did I get from doing a nothing to 6 figures to multiple 6 figures so quick? I worked on eliminating my thresholds and moved it up to the next level. And it's super powerful. It's a very energetic thing. And if you don't believe in energetics, well, you might try starting to believe in it, because it has made a huge difference for me and a lot of my clients. There's energy to everything. So yeah, it's a business assessment and a relationship assessment. If you have an event that you're going to put on, then this will be super powerful, because we can go in depth and figure out, okay, what do you need to do to make this happen, right? So normally something like this would be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to go through an assessment specifically on helping people break through their barriers, understand their belief systems, and have shifts like this. On here, because you joined me and because you've had a fun time, you participated, and because I like to give a lot of stuff and a lot of value, and probably because it's going to be recorded and we're going to hopefully get this out to more people, I want to make this available to as many people as possible. I do not have all the time in the world, though, so I do have to limit this to a specific amount of people, and once it gets filled, I have to shut it off. So if the link doesn't work, that's probably why, is because I don't have any more space, right? And so I do have a limitation here on how many people I can take, because this is specifically with me, all right? And what it is you'll fill out a form, you'll go over all the intentions and all the desires that you're working on. You'll sign up, and we will do a deep dive via Zoom where I will help you break through whatever it is that is a main priority. Specifically, if you want to work on the event piece, let's do it. Specifically, if it's like messaging, like I had someone last week who did it on message. They're like, I think my message is this, but I just don't know how to phrase it. So in 1 hour, we crafted his statement, what he needs to say, how his story is to be, his brand story, and we created a whole package for him based on everything. And that was taking him, he'd been trying to do that for 3 months. And in 1 hour, we nailed it all. And then he's like, holy cow, I got it. That's why I was off. His message was off. It wasn't united with his story. So bridging it all together. Okay, so if you're interested, here's what you got to do. And all you do is have to click. I just put it in the chat box. It's the link is enrollmentmasters.com/business-relationship-assessment. And instead of being $500, it's $97. So for practically nothing, just an intro to have a huge breakthrough, to get some insights, to be able to take your game to the next level, $97. And I want to do this for all those who decide to move forward today. I'm going to get you our whole outline of our six-figure event, and it's timestamped. So it's like day one, intention. So it goes through the goal, the emotions, the experiences, the outline, and then it shows the whole outline of what we do. And so day one, you focus a lot on the emotions and the practicing. Day two goes into more structure and more strategy. And that's when the offer is made. Day three, a mixture of the two. And day four, transformational transactions. So there's flows to things that if you don't do it, it can throw off your whole game. So if you're interested, everyone, here we go. There we go. So to everyone there, should be there, enrollmentmasters.com/business-relationship-assessment. Again, $97. So you don't have to spend $500 to do it. And I know it'll be well worth that in the value. And then I want to gift you our template of our actual events. And I just want to share with you guys a quick experience. So when I first started, I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of fear, and I had a lot of money blocks. When I went to try to enroll people, there was a time when I would try to ask for money, and I would physically shake. I remember I was in a clinic, and I was trying to invite somebody to do something for like $800, and that to me was huge at the time. And I remember physically shaking, thinking about doing it, and it was too hard. I couldn't do it. And so as I went in to try to make that transaction, I was paralyzed with fear. I knew what I had to offer was valuable, but I was afraid. And it wasn't until I unlocked that personal part of me that it helped me shift and helped me see the things that I needed to do. So I'm going to invite you again, if this resonates, click the link and sign up, $97. It'll be a great experience for you. And whoops, I keep sending private messages here. There we go. So that should be the link, and it'll be you'll actually get to pick what time you can meet with me, and then you'll fill out the form. We'll have an amazing experience. It'll be one of the best experiences you've had. And so that's what I wanted to share today. So hopefully this was good. And hopefully you go out and make a difference so that you can go do six-figure events for the right reason and really make a transformation. So thanks again. And we have a few questions, so I'm going to answer this. So if you have any questions, ask that right now. So email, if you need to email me, best email is tyler@enrollmentmasters.com, tyler@enrollmentmasters.com. And if you'd like to get that bonus, then sign up this week. And today, if you're live, then we'll get you that bonus of our whole template, which that alone we've given to our masterminds who have paid anywhere from $8,000 on up to $65,000. And that's the level that we teach on how to facilitate six-figure events. So we're giving away a lot of stuff because I believe that no matter who you are, no matter what limitations you have, you can make a six-figure event. And it can be transformational, and it can be a good fit for all involved, which is what I hope you've gotten out of today. So thanks again. And if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. And yeah, so Erica, you can just text me for that piece as well, since we had that extra one as well. Thank you guys so much. If you have any other questions, feel free, let me know. And I look forward to working with you guys. And for those who would like any help whatsoever, fill out the form, get that assessment so we can help you take it to the next level. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys later. And you should get the recording hopefully after this. So we'll talk to you later.